Can you all hear me okay? Cool. All right. How's everyone doing? Good, yeah? Can we give a round of applause to the Midwest House staff, faculty, organizers? Shout out to these folks. This is an awesome event. Thank you all for joining me. I am Shay Howe. I was born, raised in the Midwest. I grew up in Ohio, up in Winston, Ohio. I've spent 15 plus years, yes, one person, all right. Spent 15 plus years in Chicago, so the Midwest is very near and dear to me. It's home, quite honestly. So it's awesome to see an event like this here at South by, and it's an honor to be up here with all of you. I work at ActiveCampaign, and I'm here to share some of our secrets, some of the things we've done, honestly, over the last 21 years that have built truly a remarkable, incredible company. And I hope there's some things you'll be able to learn from our story that are somewhat entertaining, if not directly helpful in your business. And I'll start with a story directly. This is our office in Chicago. This is our boardroom. The man standing, that's Jason Vanderboom, our CEO. And I joined the company back in 2017. And I can tell you, when I joined, we had a large SaaS company approach us. And basically, they were asking us if we would be able to supply their customer base with email marketing and marketing automation solutions. And a large SaaS company. I guarantee most of you probably know who that is. And they basically asked us for an RFP to come in and run this. And for us, it would have been incredible. It would have been the biggest opportunity we've had to date. It would have brought on thousands, if not tens of thousands of customers on the low end. So we sent our head of sales out to go speak with them and see exactly what are you looking for, what would that take, what would the details of that become. And he came back, and I remember we were sitting in one of our executive team meetings, and he said, hey, I have the details. Essentially, there's some things we're going to have to customize about the product. It's not too much of a lift, but this is what it looks like. There's some custom financials and just payment terms we're going to have to iron out. And there's probably some tweaks we need to make to our customer service model for this to work. And all within reasonable, all completely manageable. And he's like, I want to hear the team's thoughts and if we should go for this. And our head of finance, very true to the heart, said, if we do this, what won't we do? And it's a good question. But in my mind, my self-monologue is like, hey, but we're going to do this. So it's good to understand, but we're going to go for it. And our head of product said, hey, there's kind of the lay of the land of the roadmap. Here's some things we'll do. Here's some things we might have to push off. But broadly, she thought we could do it all. It's a little bit of a stretch, but we could go do it all. And from that, I was like, yes, that makes sense. We should go for it. Our head of sales then chimes in. He's like, but we don't actually have to do this either. Like, we don't technically need this. And it was like a record-scratching moment for me where I was like, hold on a second. Like, is our head of sales about to turn down the largest opportunity we've ever had as a company? That doesn't make any sense to me. But I just let the conversation play out for a second. And our CEO, Jason, was like, you're right. Like, we have a great funnel. We're closing a lot of new business. Our growth rate's actually accelerating. There are a lot of unknowns about this opportunity. And as we get into it, quite frankly, there's going to be more. And once we're committed, we're committed. That could drag us down. And our head of sales was like, I agree. I don't think we should do it. We should step aside. And everyone kind of shook their heads and said yes, and literally within 5 minutes we decided not to do this. And I was new to the company. I was like, this is different. This is not any other organization I have been in, because the head of sales would have fought tooth and nail in most companies to actually get that deal done. But it showed me very clearly and very quintessentially that ActiveCampaign was a different type of company. And when you think about, this idea of hypergrowth, you see all of the drama and headlines that show up in HBO series and memoirs, the TechCrunch headlines. They're the things of vanity metrics and your large rounds of funding and great parties, but then you have this hustle work culture with crushing hours and throw in a scandal or two, right? I can tell you it doesn't have to work this way. That ActiveCampaign has fundamentally done it differently. And I believe, honestly, that's because we have truly Midwestern values, where our integrity is our most prized possession. We work hard, but we play hard, and we take care of our customers and our employees first and foremost. And it's kind of simple as that. And I'll tell you a little bit of the story of ActiveCampaign, because I think it sets some of that context. So I mentioned Jason, and Jason went to college in Chicago, and he just started consulting to pay for it, and predominantly working with small businesses, helping them do some email marketing, some contact management, small level kind of sales software tools. And he found himself literally building and running the same programs over and over and over again for all these customers. And he decided I could actually build a platform that would help me automate all of this for these small businesses. And he did that for 10 years, built a small team, and really found this niche of finding ways to automate the customer lifecycle and grow sales and marketing for small businesses. And it started as software. He would literally sell them. They would take, install on a server, and away they would go. And a truly kind of incredible, just low and small growth as they grew. Hit 2013 and said, hey, we probably actually need to move this to software as a service model. It's better for our customers where they get real live updates of the software. We get recurring revenue. It's a much better system and ecosystem we could play in. And it took us 3 years to make that change, to actually implement it. And you could argue we did it too late and that we did it too slow. But I think it's honestly going back to that Midwestern side where we did it, where we wanted to do it slowly with our customers, where it made sense to them and they weren't all going to churn out. And this was a really foundational setting moment for the company where if you look at this, we're 13 years into our journey, completely bootstrapped, and you fundamentally do things differently than if you had outside capital driving your growth, where you have to provide customer value. You have to grow with that organization, and you're not running the playbook of what might be behind a PE or a VC behind it. And super, super foundational to the point to where in 2016, the company is about 25 people, 15,000 customers, doing about 20 million in revenue, and decided, we got it figured out, it's time to hit the gas. And literally the company took off in that moment. We went out, we raised our first round of funding of 20 million, doing 20 million in revenue, which is completely opposite of what you normally see. Usually someone's raising 20 million, doing $1 million or $2 million in revenue, if any, quite frankly, these days. And it was truly a foundational setting for us that we wanted the right partners, we knew how to grow the business, and that amplified it almost tenfold. And today, I can tell you the business is 180,000 customers globally. You're north of 250 million in revenue. We did our last round of funding in 2001, and that basically put us into that unicorn status where we have a valuation into the several billion. So just a wild, wild ride throughout that, quite honestly. Now, if you're not familiar with ActiveCampaign, we would be the world's leading intelligent marketing automation platform. So we do email marketing, we do SMS automation, think about CRM, sales engagement, landing pages, online forms, all that inside of a platform, but the true harness of it all is how you automate across all those different channels. And I mentioned we have 180,000 customers. Those 180,000 customers are automating about 4 billion customer experiences every single week. And to the degree of, we've become the #1 ranked marketing automation platform across G2, Trust Radius, you name it. It's truly kind of an incredible ecosystem we have built. And we haven't done it alone, quite honestly. Chicago is home for us, and we have just an incredible group behind us. So first and foremost, we work with a lot of small businesses, and the Midwest is full of them. They're in our backyard. We are in the trenches with them, working together every single day. Outside that, we have some incredible partners. Enrolled Business Chicago, IDA Ireland, been incredible groups, honestly. We opened up an office in Dublin, and I flew out there to kind of get it situated and understand what's happening. And I kid you not, the IDA showed up in a car, drove me around all of Dublin, took me to all the different startups, and introduced me to the site leaders, and it mapped out, quite frankly, the fundamentals for how we should grow our business there. To the point when we hired our site leader, it was done based off the ideas of who I met during that trip. So truly kind of an incredible experience and partners behind that. And then the talent, the ecosystem of people in the Midwest is incredible, and people will get excited about the coast, but I will take the best of the Midwest and put them against the best of the coast any day of the week. And you think of the modern internet browser. Mosaic was invented at the University of Illinois, right, where Mark Andreessen went. So the roots go very deep in the Midwest, and I don't want to lose sight of that or let folks forget it. Myself, I'm Shay Howe. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at ActiveCampaign. I mentioned I've been there about 7 years through the wild, wild growth of what has been the organization. And I lead our marketing team, I lead our partnerships team, I lead our corp dev team, and I've been there long enough where I've led engineering, I've led our channel sales. In a hypergrowth environment, you got to go do a little bit of everything. So there's probably not much of the business I couldn't dig into or share with you. And throughout that time, we have learned a lot. So today I have 8 different kind of secrets, if you will, that I would love to walk through and share with you. And again, hope that there might be something here you could glean and implement in your own business. So to start, something fundamentally different we did was that of sustainability, right? I mentioned being a bootstrap company for the first 13 years. You do things a little bit different, and that is which we orient around your customers. So we truly thought about how do we derive them value first and foremost. It was not about what can we do today that's going to allow the business to grow as fast as possible, and what is that growth hack, what is the short ticket, what is the thing we could shift or small tweak we can make to grow. It was truly about how do we create sustainability, how do we have controlled growth, how do we own our roadmap, how do we not let any one customer kind of dictate which way we go, which direction we go? And that kind of sized up that moment of the story I shared earlier. It was sustainability first and foremost, right? And if we had taken that opportunity, it would have shifted us off of what the sustainability side is. And sustainability does something that's really interesting, and it creates a lot of optionality. Your back's not up against a wall. You can go do things just tremendously differently. And that has allowed us to do a lot of different things, where we'll see a lot of our competitors chase each other, right? And they'll build each other's features. They'll try and go up market to basically make more money, or they'll go deep in one vertical to try and basically exploit it and drive. We haven't had to do any of those things, quite honestly. We've been focused on those SMBs and continuing to just work with them day in and day out. And we've come to find they want the same amount of capabilities the mid-market, the enterprise want, right? So we've ended up building a platform that we call simple but not simplistic. We didn't make our platform easy to use by stripping out features. We made it easy to use by truly making it intuitive and more progressively revealing different parts of the platform as you go deeper, as you begin to use it. And it's allowed us to attract more mid-market, more enterprise as we've grown, right? So we have the best of both worlds behind this. And all those customers have built out this product-led growth flywheel for us, and it's truly created a tremendous amount of momentum. And just think about it. If you had 180,000 customers talking about how strong your platform was almost on a weekly to monthly basis, it becomes such a great wealth of growth for us. So that has created a tremendous amount of opportunity, and we've been able to go places, frankly, our competitors may have been afraid to go. Now in that, you got to stay close to your customers, and we've done that by really, really staying in on that idea of qualitative feedback. And I see it all the time. When businesses grow by the best means, there's too much customer support and requests that come in. So folks tend to gate it. They'll find ways to kind of, maybe we hide the phone number, or you can't access the email or support form unless you log in, things like that. Tends to upset and frustrate customers. We generally have not done those items. The other side of it is when you get so much feedback coming in, folks will start to run more surveys, right? And they'll say, we want the quantitative data to really tell us how folks are using the platform and what their feedback is. But the trick is, data will never tell you why, right? It's not actually going to get to the sense of really what's happening in the base. So we have an entire team dedicated to actually understanding what our customers are saying through, be it NPS, the tickets we have, the lost deals, the online reviews, churn, you name it. And they put out a voice of customer report every single month. And I saw Nicole's here, and she actually does it. And it's a group that truly helps us understand all the different trends happening in the business every single day. And I can tell you, every single member of the exec team, anytime someone fills out an NPS form or churns, we get that data sent to us in our email, literally by the thousands, almost a day. And while I can't read all of them, I certainly read a tremendous amount. And honestly, this week alone, one of the themes has been pricing. And I've replied to those emails to 7 different customers, gotten on the phone with them and said, walk me through it. You said pricing in NPS. Is it that the pricing's too difficult or to understand or recognize to know how it's going to scale? Is it too high, too low? Like, help me understand it, because the NPS, you're a promoter, not a detractor, but you still said price. Like, what does that actually mean? And I can say today I have a much stronger understanding and opinion of when they say price, what they mean by that, and how we are actually situated in the market. And that is a better understanding than what I think any of our competitors or analysts are going to come tell us. It's coming from the customer. So we have to stay close to truly that qualitative feedback. The other side of this is we do things that, quite frankly, don't make sense. The amount of time someone has came into our business, taken a look at it and said, that's probably a bad idea, or why are you doing that? You could be far more optimal in these different means. We've ignored a lot of it, to be quite honest with you. And I'll give you 2 different examples where folks generally see these as cost centers, and we've turned them into profit centers. And one is around the idea of any new customer that signs up for ActiveCampaign, we will give them basically white-gloved onboarding. If they're coming from a competitor, we will help migrate all of their emails, all their contacts, all the automations. And it doesn't matter literally what you pay. We're going to help you do this. And I kid you not, I was sitting down with a friend that's a CMO at a different business yesterday, and he's like, that won't scale. Like, there's no way that works, right? I was like, there's 2 things you're missing out on this. One is the first 90 days that they are with us sets up their entire lifetime value. So if we can get them in the platform and we get them actually engaged using it, they're going to use the platform and expand what they pay us over time. And they're going to be retained much longer than the cohort that doesn't go through this onboarding session. Second to that is the word of mouth. That person might pay us $200 a year. Totally fine. Because they might tell someone else who's going to pay us $2,000 a year. And that person might tell someone else who's going to end up paying $200,000 a year, right? We're completely okay and comfortable with that. The word of mouth builds the flywheel. Another example of that is what we call our study halls. So in market, we go out and spend time with prospects and customers, and we'll take a couple of days and walk them through how to use ActiveCampaign. And a lot of our competitors will have big, be it user conferences that cost you a few $1,000s, and they'll try and get everyone together. We're predominantly working with small businesses though, so they don't have a lot of time, right? And they want us to come to them and sit down with them. And we have found 3 different things come from this. One is if a prospect shows up to that event, they almost always sign up. Very rare that they actually wouldn't convert into a customer. Those that are customers that come end up actually expanding their usage of the platform. They end up paying us more. They end up staying longer from a net retention side. That alone allows us to pay for these events in about 90 days, which is incredible. Add to that, again, the word of mouth. A lot of folks who come end up posting about it on social, spreading the word, and we can see a tremendous flywheel of this. So much so that we've scaled this and we're doing roughly 200 of these events every single year now. So rather than one big user event, we go to 200 different cities, spend time with our customers, and we reach way more people through it. And most folks would try and monetize these, gate them behind a cost. We don't need to do that. We go out, just literally spend time with the customers and understand that if we do that well, they're going to stick with us longer and the money will come out in the end. The other end of this is around being global. So if you ever have the hope of saying, hey, we want to become a global organization, I would encourage you just start global literally today. I'll read a ton of S1s and they almost always list global expansion as a growth lever. And they're not wrong, but I think they underestimate how difficult that actually is to do. Everything from translating your product, your go-to-market motion, your life cycle, how do you do sales support in different languages? Very, very difficult to do. And ActiveCampaign has had the foresight from day one, we translated our platform into 20 different languages. And we didn't tell anyone about it. It was an Easter egg, right? So if you signed up in France, you would notice, oh, the platform's actually in French. Cool, didn't know that was going to be the case. From that, we saw some growth in a few different countries, Brazil being one. And we said, hey, maybe we need to translate our go-to-market motion into Portuguese. And it helped us build a new muscle in understanding, translating our website, translating all of our marketing emails and copy. And we actually started to see far and far more growth out of Brazil, to the point where we started to hire sales reps and customer service reps locally in market. And now we've grown this and expanded into dozens of different markets where the team's speaking 26 different languages. We have customers in 170 different countries, which is frankly more countries than McDonald's operates in. It's mind-blowing. 55% of the business actually happens outside of North America. And it's a muscle in the business now. When everything we do, we're thinking about that global perspective. And the ideas, the use cases that come from folks abroad help sharpen the platform the folks here domestically. It's completely changed, honestly, how we think and how we grow our product. And the total addressable market we sit on is massive. We haven't even made a dent in it from our perspective. The other side of this is, as we've scaled, we've done far, far more in automation. And it makes sense that a company that focuses on marketing automation talks about automation. But I will say, there is a sweet spot, and you can over-automate things. People will begin to realize or recognize if they're in an automation and if they're doing something that, frankly, doesn't feel human anymore. So you all got into business to do something that you loved and you're passionate about. You need to make sure you're able to do that. Do what you do best, and then, frankly, automate the rest of it. Take that repetitive, the mundane, and put that into an automation, but find the sweet spot of what is automation and human touch, and don't lose sight of creating really memorable experiences for your customers. Now, on top of that, it's about building a very predictable business too. And again, this kind of goes back to the roots of ActiveCampaign, wanting to be sustainable in our growth. And we've always looked at this from the rule of 40. And we've done this the entire time we've been around. So that of which we want the growth rate and our profit margin when added to be greater than 40. So for example, if your growth rate is 10% year over year and your profit margin sits at 5%, 10 plus 5 is going to put you at 15 in the rule of 40. And that's good. It's not a negative number, but it means you're probably not world class or at the top of your game either. Opposite of that would be your growth rate could be 30%, your profit margin could be 20%. So 30 plus 20 is going to put you at 50 in the rule of 40. It means you have an incredible business, quite frankly. And I would say 50 is becoming the new 40 as you look at kind of public indexes. For us, that's how do we increase revenue? It's been about recurring revenue first and foremost. It's not about one-off fees. It's not about onboarding services, things like that, right? How do we drive that recurring revenue cycle? How do we reduce our costs then? For us, automation plays a key part of that and piece of how we look at it. But then it's the customer ecosystem, the partner ecosystem, where we can go work with resellers, referrals, integrated partners, and the like. And that really helps us drive a flywheel of growth, almost built on that product-led side. So we've dug deep into this rule of 40 and basically have sat on that profitability side most of our tenure. The last thing I'll say throughout this is the idea of chasing happiness. And day in after day out, you'll read articles of people barely making it, just scratching by to find success. And no doubt, this journey is a roller coaster. There have been plenty of sleepless nights, like hands out. But we don't optimize for that. We're not over-indexing on chasing or idealizing pain. And when we have a little bit of pain, we don't sit with it for longer than we need to. And fundamentally believe building a business is a marathon, not a sprint, right? So if you're sitting in a center of pain, you're not gonna make it. You're gonna burn out. You will find the end of that stream pretty quickly. Where if you take the time and think about what you're doing and what gives you energy, but also provides that value to your customers, to your team, and you optimize for that, and you can either automate the rest or find folks who enjoy those other ends, you can build that sustainable growth for a long time, right? You can maintain your energy and go on that longer marathon, if you will. And you have to take this and go do this with the team as well, right? To where you help them truly find their center of excellence, their center of energy. And for us, that meant building and focusing on leadership and development, or L&D, pretty early on in our tenure, to where we help the team take different tenures and passes through the organization, where folks might go from support to marketing to product back to support, things like that. Myself, I've led marketing, design, engineering, channel sales, build out our partnerships team, corp dev. Like, you don't get to do that in a lot of different organizations, right? But it's one of honing in on what gives you energy. And for me, it's building new things, right? And making organization out of what might be the chaos of it. So we've really enjoyed that idea of finding where our energy sits and digging in with folks. All right, I'll recap these for y'all. First and foremost, it's about building value, right? Finding your customers, understanding what they need, and building the sustainable business, ideally, on what they want. And if you find customers that are really happy, you can find a lot of ways to monetize that. So do that first and foremost. Don't chase the quick growth. If you do that, you get a lot of optionality. And you can take that optionality and go build and work on areas where, frankly, your competitors are too afraid to go. And for us, that's in underserved markets through SMB, being vertical agnostic, and really building out a true cohesive platform. From that, staying close to the customers, right? It's very, very close to that qualitative feedback. We're not hiding the data in surveys. We're truly unpacking it to really understand, why do folks say that? What do they mean by all of that? And let's make sure we don't lose sight of that as we continue to grow and scale. We're also not afraid to do things that don't make sense. When someone looks at it and says, that's not gonna work, or scratches their head, honestly, some days that means we're probably on the right path. And in what might be a cost center, there's probably different ways you could flip it or make it a little more unique and turn it into a profit center for yourselves. The other side of it, if you wanna go global, start there as early as often. And quite frankly, the growth you'll get from that will compound, and you'll see that throughout your entire tenure. So don't be afraid to go there early versus later. Other side of that, balance automation with human touch. Again, think about what you really enjoy doing, optimize for that, automate the rest, but don't over-automate it, and make sure that you're still providing those really remarkable, memorable experiences for your customers. Outside that, it's a predictable business. It's the rule of 40, right? Being north on that with growth rate and profit margins, and then understanding what makes you happy, and truly thinking every single day that you could go out and have energy, where you're excited to wake up and go to work. That's not a dream. You can do that. Don't idolize the pain, but really think about where that energy comes from and how to build your team around it, not only for yourself, but for how they actually have their roles in their careers as well. Outside that, we got some Chicago-style dogs coming. I don't know where they're at. I think they're over here. Ann, are they over here? They're gonna be over here. So we love a good hot dog. Go grab some. I think we have bandanas, a few other things. I'm gonna go over there, hang out. So if you have questions through what we went through today, please come chat. Myself, certainly a handful of members of the ActiveCampaign team are here. We would love to spend some time with you. So thank you for having me. Again, my name is Shay Howe. I'm the CMO at ActiveCampaign. I appreciate your time and attention. So thank you.